Hey guys, welcome to another YouTube video, and welcome to, I think it's the fourth episode. Yeah, the fourth episode of BRAYTalks, the series in which I talk mainly non-sporting related topics, featuring at times either games I don't normally play, or featuring my face, which once again, my face. Trust me, eventually I will get down to play a video game. Eventually on this series. Eventually. So, and of course, it's that time of the month again. This was sort of successful first time round. It sort of successful, like it did have views on it, which was a sign. But it's that time of the month again. It's time for soap talk, which is obviously me just chatting shit about soap shows in Australia, like Neighbours and Home and Away. So yeah. So for now on, I'm going to be doing these in two parts now, because doing one of Neighbours and another part of this particular episode will be Home and Away, because as you said, if you didn't know the first episode, I was kind of expecting trying to do all these things like Home and Away, talk about Neighbours and talk about Home and Away in one video. But then about towards the end of the video, I kind of realised that that's not going to work. Because I don't think you guys will want me to speak chatting rubbish about Neighbours and Home and Away for 2 hours straight in a video. So I decided to just do it in two parts, which went all right. I think the Neighbours one had way more views than Home and Away. So if you want to go back and watch those videos, see which theories I got right and which ones I got wrong. But in this week's for this episode, I'm going to be talking about what happened last week, and then what's going to happen then, because there was a lot of things that went down last week, and there's going to be a hell of a lot of stuff going to go down this week on Neighbours this week. And then also other storylines as well. I've got a couple of mysteries which got me thinking over the course of the last month about and some theories as well. I want to share with you guys. So as I said, the next episode, so part 2 of this episode will be about Home and Away and all things that happen in Summer Bay. But this episode's going to be about what happens on Ramsay Street and in Erinsborough. So yeah, so as usual, spoilers are ahead here. So if you guys don't want to be spoiled by what happens this week, then just click off this video. Just also before I start, my apologies for not saying the spoiler alert thing for the Home and Away part of the episode of soap talk, of the 2-part soap talk. My apologies for that. I forgot to say it, but hopefully that will not happen again. So let's see what happened last week. So let's get straight at. So as I said, if you guys haven't watched last week, then what are you guys are freaking doing? Go back and go on the freaking 10 play or whatever. Or go on Amazon Freebie or wherever you want to watch it at, or whatever you're watching it on. Go back and watch all of last week's episodes, because it was freaking incredible. Let's get the big one out of the way. What's happened, and after months and months of tension between the two former married couple in Toadie and Melanie, it finally happened. It finally happened. It was obvious it was gonna happen for me. For me, it was always gonna happen eventually. But at the same time, I was still freaking shocked. I was still freaking shocked. I was like, holy shit! I wasn't expecting it. Like I said, I was kind of expecting it, but at the same time, I was still shocked at the same time that actually did happen. And in all places, it happened at the backyard of number 28. That's of all things. That's of all places for them to do that. Then yeah. So because there was tension there throughout this week, there was tension there between Toadie and Melanie. So the story was, obviously, I remember it was somewhere in the Lasseter's complex or at the pond. I think Toadie, Melanie, Nell, and Hugo did some like games in that near the pond and that. And then when Toadie realised something in him that while he was watching Nell playing with, watching Melanie play with Nell and Hugo, he just bolted, and what was annoying, and what's been annoying me, what I find out, this has not just happened this week; it's happened for months. And it's not only just with Toadie and Melanie. It's happened with Therese and Paul as well throughout this whole quadrangle thing, or whatever it's called. Where Toadie's gone, I'm married to Therese. I'm not this. Therese has said to Paul as well, I'm married with Toadie now. Nothing's gonna happen. And then Melanie, the same thing, is like, Toadie's moved on, and it wasn't just on one occasion. It just happened repeatedly, and at stages it just got me freaking annoyed, to be honest. And it just got me to the more and more conclusion of basically, I said to myself, the more they're gonna say it, the more the chances that it's gonna go back to normal, with Toadie going back to Melanie, and Therese going back to Paul. The more they say it, the more it's going to convince me that's going to happen. And it seemed like and then basically I remember, I think it was in the Thursday episode, and what led to this moment, which I'm going to share later. Toadie was planning this date thing with Therese, and then basically, but unfortunately, she had to cancel that for obvious reasons I'll get to when I get to the next topic. And Toadie his face was pretty pissed off and pretty sad and pissed off kind of way. And of all people he goes to, it's Melanie. And Melanie's like, why are you going to me for your problems again? And then basically, and she was getting the conversation there. I think she turned her back. Well, she turned her back and then went, and I was like, that's it, Melanie, just walk away. And then when Toadie grabbed her arm, I was like, hang on, what's gonna go on here? And then, boom, they kissed, and I'm like, I said, holy shit. I said, it was brewing for months and months, and finally it's happened. And this ties into this next topic quite nicely here. While this was going on between Toadie and Melanie, Paul, of course, obviously that slimy, disgusting woman that is Chelsea, threw out the plaque of Therese's son Josh. Obviously, if you guys have been long time fans of Neighbours, you know what happened. So what happened to Josh when the Lasseter's explosion happened back in 2016, I believe it happened. Yeah, 2016 that it happened when Josh unfortunately was killed in that explosion. But for some reason that came back again when Chelsea deliberately, just and even was put in the bin. Disguised it so it could be trash for someone to to put in the bin, even though Krista said to a lot of people, don't throw out that plaque. Don't throw it out. And sure enough, it got thrown out. And everybody was looking for it everywhere. Eventually, Paul figured it out himself. Went to some trash depot to try and find it. Eventually rang Therese and basically said, "Oh, I know where it is. So, and that's the reason why Therese cancelled this date with Toadie. And then he basically went there, and basically he found it. He basically found it. Now, I don't know when it's going to get revealed that Chelsea was the one that planned to throw out the plaque. I don't know when that's going to get revealed, but I've always said as soon as Paul finds out about Chelsea's true colours, surely he's going to cut his losses straight away. Straight up, when he finds out about what Chelsea's true intentions are, he's going to cut his losses from her. Let's put it that way. And let's just say I think Chelsea will not take that quite well. So yeah, that's and then in other news on Ramsay Street, the Rodwells, who live, of course, at number 26, had extended its house amount of people in the house from 3 to 4 because Andrew's younger brother Felix came out of prison via parole, which it's great to have another cream on Ramsay Street, let's put it that way. But yeah, so he moved to number 26, but it's not about that move though. It's about what Felix is keeping from them that is the most intriguing, because before he went out of prison, in that first episode where we saw Felix, he had the missing notes that were in this diary that Philippa had, who was a former friend of the Rodwells. Because it was back when it was revealed back in what was it, about November, I think it was about mid to late November, that Andrew read this diary which had missing pages in it, and as it turns out, Felix had the missing pages of all this time when he was in prison, and it just sort of made me think: is Felix JJ's real father? Is he JJ's real father? I don't know. But at the time, I don't know. Then when and then when, of course, JJ was doing some defense moves, which was funny when JJ was doing these freaking like shadow boxing moves, like boom 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 boom, and that it was freaking hilarious. At the same time, Felix was punching the punching bag, and then of course JJ took his shirt off, and how ironically he had the same freaking birthmark, the same as Felix, and which it made me have my eyes go out of my sockets on springs, like, oh my god, he is JJ's father. So it's those can of beans are out. I think for me, those can of beans are out. It's only a matter of time before someone finds out. Someone finds out, whether it's Andrew, whether it's Cara, Remy, JJ himself. I don't know. I mean, yeah. It is that possibility as well. It was that possibility, really. And I don't know really when that's going to be. mention more about that. Mention more about that later. Then, and speaking of the Royal Wells, this is my last topic about last week's episodes, quite brilliantly. Another one of the Royal Wells had an interesting week last week in the form of Sadie. Because not last week, the week before, it was revealed that she's never done the what. and of course her friends in Mackenzie and Holly have been lobbying for her to finally do the what. And appropriately, Holly ends up suggesting, hey, why not Byron? And basically, and then this is where it starts, Sadie, and then Sadie she could have used her mother for this, but of course she chose bloody friggin' Byron to practice her makeup skills on it, and they started flirting. It was freaking cute as, and then obviously it escalated this week when obviously there was a party going on, obviously between Haz, Mac, Holly, Sadie, Byron, and later Krista joined in the fray as well. And then basically, it all joined in this like, it wasn't like sort of a party, it was sort of a gathering with six friends in the share house. And then eventually it left Byron and Sadie to be left all alone in it while the others went I think did something. I feel playing truth or dare somewhere in the share house, I believe. So it left Sadie and Byron all alone. And for some reason, Sadie was teaching Byron some dance moves apparently. I'm still spewing that I didn't watch this here because I was actually on my way home from work when I was watching this on my phone on Templay. And then basically, boom, they kissed, and we all know, and then, I think you see where this is going. Might see where this is going. Things escalated, and at the end of the day, it turned out that she actually spent the night. And they actually did do the what. The funniest thing out of all of it was Sadie trying to escape the share house without Haz even freaking knowing, which it would have been, which I just wonder if Haz basically caught them. The next morning, basically, he went out there for breakfast and basically caught Sadie and Byron sleeping together. He would have I think he would have freaked out and basically said to Mac. It would basically tell Mac this, and then Mac would basically tell Holly this, and then basically Holly would just go ballistic, basically, because she's been lobbying for this for the last week or two. So yeah, and then basically word goes out everywhere and amongst that group of friends everywhere, and eventually gets around to Holly. Holly is freaking excited. Apparently she had a freaking hangover from the night before, and she was that freaking. And then she recovered from it really quickly when Mac texted her that Byron and Sadie did it, and basically she went straight to Byron, who was, I think he was on a run with Haz at the time. They were on the other side of the street, and that's when she accidentally revealed about Sadie before the previous night never doing the what. And And this pissed off Byron. This pissed him off. He went to Sadie and more confronted her really, and just went, oh, I can't believe, and basically accused her of using him, pretty much. Which, you could say it's true in a way, but in a way, yeah. And then eventually they sorted it out, and they agreed to just stay friends. But during this time, I think Holly, had a bit from, because I didn't watch this because obviously I arrived home. Well, obviously I didn't get home from work until about 5 minutes after the episode started, and apparently Holly does find out that actually Sadie actually likes Byron. So yeah, and then eventually she does agree for her and Byron to stay friends. Well, at least in my opinion, for now, at least, and I'm interested to see how this sort of goes in a way, to be honest. I'm still wondering how this will go. And how long would this whole stay friends thing will work out? I wonder how long it's going to happen. My guess, not long. Let's put it that way, not long. But yeah, but for me, I think that would be a very cute couple, those two, in my personal opinion, to be honest. There, and not surprised, and what's the bet that if those two stay together? What's the bet that eventually, not right now, but even like a month or two, what's the bet that has Mac, Sadie, and Byron set Holly up with someone? What's the bet about that? What is the bet? Obviously, she's the reason why Haz and Mac are together. Obviously, not only because of the fact that she broke up with Haz, but also was the one that basically inadvertently pushed those two together, pretty much. And she basically did the same thing. It's basically almost doing the same thing albeit in different circumstances, pushed Byron and Sadie into each other's orbits. So yeah. So as I said, what's the bet that those four eventually will set Holly up with someone? Because it's just that what that game's all about is helping out each other, really, pretty much. So yeah, and just make each other happy, pretty much. But yeah, so a lot of things that happened last week, and it's going to go another level this week. Because as I'm recording this about an hour to go before the actual episode, unfortunately this will come out after the Monday episode. So of course it's going to be the fallout. What is going to be the fallout of basically Toadie cheating on Therese with Melanie? I get the feeling that she is all this is going to happen to coincide. All this drama is going to have to coincide with the Longest Lion event at Lassiter's, which will be filled. Which apparently it's already been revealed. It's going to be filled with absolute drama. Obviously, Chelsea going to try and sabotage the event. Obviously, all that drama surrounding Toadie, Therese, and Melanie. Apparently Billy has his ex. Apparently comes back and tries to sabotage. Tries to get him, but tries to basically drive a wedge between Haz and Mac. Which, I think Holly found that out a couple of months ago, that you don't come between Haz and Mac, otherwise you will regret it. and I think Billy's about to do that, about to learn that similar fate, to be honest. But yeah, and then and then obviously the other big thing is the other thing I want to talk about is when is Felix going to tell who Felix is going to tell about, going to reveal about this big secret about being JJ's father, biological father. My guess, it might be. My guess, I think it's Andrew that he's going to tell. But you never. But then, if that gets revealed, who tells Cara and Remy this? Is it Andrew? Is it Felix? Does both of them go up to the two and reveal this? I don't know. Or does Felix reveal this to JJ himself? I don't know, really. Like I said earlier, I don't know. But yeah, and yeah. So that will be for me the big secret, really. And it's gonna be, and apparently is this whole, JJ's biological father thing. Apparently it was revealed at the start of the year. It's going to be a long drawn out, deliberately drawn out, storyline for most of the year. So maybe like Felix maybe keeps it to himself for a period, and then eventually maybe like Andrew eventually finds out, or JJ finds out eventually. I don't know really, but yeah, so yeah, and then one last thing also, Slade and his gang and his gang of mates strike again. Firstly on JJ, but they get scared of a little help from Felix. But then they soon turn their attentions onto somebody else that is not JJ and Dex. And yeah, I think I've probably given it away. They move their attention to Nell, and basically they try and target her. Not surprised, and it's revealed, not surprisingly, Hugo tries to defend his older sister, and eventually it all ends in apparently Hugo getting trundled in the boot of a car, and with the gang driving off. So yeah, so we don't know what's going to happen there. Pretty much. Is this gonna be the last straw really for Slade and his gang? Because kidnapping kidnapping a child, if they get caught, that will be pretty much be the end of Slade, really. But for the gang, we don't know. For Slade, it'll have to be the end of him, really, because vandalism and obviously. And obviously, targeting JJ and that is one thing, but to kidnap a little kid like Hugo is probably going a step too far, to be honest. So moving on to the other storylines here. There's a couple of mysteries that have been in my mind for a long time now, which I've been very eager to crack, to solve, not solve, but to get some theories around. One is this so-called Haz's backstory. And the other one is this so-called car crash and police chase that was filmed in the city around mid-November, which came to my attention at the start of the year while I was holidaying over in Geelong. So yeah, So first off, has his backstory. This one has really got me thinking a lot. And it led me to these questions. Now the first question I said to myself was a simple question, simply, what will be the backstory? What will be Haz's backstory itself? So, and the clue is apparently it was said that it's basically a storyline that the show has never done before. In all its 30 odd years of the show being on since 1985, this sort of storyline has never been done, which got me thinking of what do I think, thinking of what could possibly happen. So my first thing would be, number one would be, what about Haz's childhood, like when he was growing up and that, or number two, it might be delving deep into Haz's life before he moved to Erinsborough, before he met, before all this stuff, taking charge of Harold, meeting up with friends like with Mac, Byron, Sadie, Holly, and all that. I can't give a definitive answer of what out of the two would I choose. Maybe some, but I haven't written it in my notes here. Maybe something bad happened when he was in his life before, moving to Erinsborough. Would that be the backstory probably? Or was his family targeted at something, and he's been on his own pretty much with his own family? I don't know. But yeah. Then the second question I asked myself is, will the backstory have something to do with the trashing of Harold's? Now, if you haven't read any articles, it will be revealed in the next few weeks. Apparently, Harold's gonna get trashed. Harold's apparently is gonna get trashed, which of course, which makes Haz absolutely devastated, and shocks Mackenzie as well. But yeah, so yeah, I won't count out if this trashing of Harold's would have something to do, because apparently also it says after the episode after Harold gets trashed, it says hides a terrible truth. So possibly there's a possibility that this might lead to his backstory maybe get revealed. I don't know, or the first initial step in what this dark secret or what this backstory is of Haz. We don't know, but yeah. So yeah, the third question. This is one of the biggest ones. This is one of the biggest ones. Who does he tell this backstory to? That's the big question. At this stage, we don't know. We have no clue at all into who basically tells this to. One thing's for sure, and this might shock a few people here, I don't think it'll be Mackenzie. Well, I don't see it likely being Mackenzie, to be honest, and yeah, that is my opinion, obviously. The names who I think here, it's quite simple. It's simple in terms of individuals. It's either Byron, Sadie, Holly, or out of left field pick Krista, because I mean, Byron, obviously, they're like brothers in a way ever since they both moved to the share house. Sadie, obviously, you know, they've been good friends, and Sadie was a massive support for when that love triangle between Haz, Mac, and Holly got ugly at times. She was the one there. Krista, they've actually been very close friends ever since Krista moved into the share house, which is surprising. And Holly, you know, like, what do you all I can that's all, what more can I say about their history between those two? So yeah, or there's a possibility that maybe tells it to all five of these people, including Mackenzie. Tells this story to, or maybe he tells this story to someone else. Maybe he tells it to Andrew. Maybe if it's true that this trashing of Harold's lead is because of all this backstory stuff. Maybe he tells it to Andrew. Maybe he tells it to Toadie. And totally out of left field, one tells it to Carl or Susan. And it would make sense for Susan as well, because she would probably would say, because at this point, obviously Carl's got to go up to Sydney to see Susan and Asta, because obviously Susan's been taking care of Asta while Chloe and Ellie have been on their honeymoon. At this point, she doesn't know that Haz and Holly had split. So I think she either that, or basically Carl, one of the conversations that they both have had on the phone, he says that Holly and Haz had split, had broken up. Maybe she goes to Haz and basically gets an explanation gets an explanation here, and then inadvertently he blurs the secret out. We don't know really, but it could be any one. It could be any one of those scenarios that he basically tells this backstory to. My money would have to be on the whole group of 5. He tells it to, but in terms of individuals, it's pretty hard to say really, because any one of them, it makes sense. I mean, it will make sense for him to tell the truth to Byron. It would make sense to tell the truth to Sadie. It would make sense to tell the truth to Krista. It would especially it makes sense to tell the truth to Holly. Obviously, after previously being in a relationship together. So yeah. So I can't say at this point who exactly, but it'll be any one of those, to be honest, really. The fourth question I asked myself is, does all this this storyline come before or after Haz's sister Amira comes to town? Because remember, we still don't know when Maria that Till's character it comes to Erinsborough. We still don't know but the initial but I read somewhere that, and I think I mentioned this before, but I'll rehash it again, was at the time of her announcement of her being on the show, she had already done, and this was back in early December, she had already done scenes, already did them, which would have been at the end of November. So basically, if you do the maths, 5 months in between films being filmed and going to air, that is, I was shooting the end of November, so the end of November, December, January, February, March, April. So my guess is probably the end of April. But we really don't know really, what could happen in a way, to be honest. So yeah. So it is. So at this point, that it's unknown. It's unknown if this storyline happens before or after Amira comes to town, or we still don't know when she actually still comes to Erinsborough. We still don't know about that, pretty much. But yeah. So yeah, and then the last question I asked myself is, and it's the very obvious question. It is the most obvious question I've asked myself before, but I had a bit of a long think about this one. Who is, and based off the article that was on Radio Times about this, who is the or any woman? Who is it? And I've came to the conclusion of this. So, as I've said so many times, I'm going to say it again. The most obvious one, the most obvious answer to this one would be Holly, obviously. But for me, like this time a month ago, I probably would have said that probably maybe at 75, maybe 70% chance that maybe this or any woman would be Holly. Now I'm more 50-50 on this one. But I'm not entirely going to go, nah, there's absolutely no chance it's gonna be Holly, because knowing me, when I say, nah, this is not gonna happen, this storyline's not gonna happen, it turns out that storyline actually does come back. So I'm learning from my mistakes. I'm not completely ruling it out. But it's more or less 50-50 in a way. To be honest, on that case, out of the out of left field option, and it equates to his backstory in a way, is possibly it's possibly a woman from his past, from this backstory, that would possibly maybe want him back. So maybe another one will drive a wedge between Haz and Mac again. So yeah. So yeah. And of course, yeah. So of course, there's that, that thing there. But if it's not Holly, then probably it would be that. And then other names to mention, obviously Billy. I don't think that would be likely because, the way that she treated Trevor the first time around, I don't think Haz want to go back to her again because of that. I know that sounds pretty ridiculous, but I don't know. Maybe it is pretty much. And the other one, which is way out of left field, and I've noticed that Haz and this woman have gotten close ever since she's recently moved into the share house, and it's Krista. I mean, you never know. You never know. Things might change between her and Leo, and then if something bad would to happen in terms of the relationship between Haz and Mac, maybe something there. I don't know. This is just a theory for me, but obviously, I think for me, as I said, the most obvious one would be Holly, obviously because of the fact that they have, they have a previous relationship together. But but there's the possibility that they would not want to go there again because they've just gone back to becoming good friends again. And I don't think that they would want to destroy that again by getting into another relationship together. So that is if things do, end at some point between Haz and Mac at some point. I don't know, but yeah. So that is for me at this point. Now I will continue on this sort of backstory. I'll keep my eyes up for any clues in future news articles or in past articles as well. So yeah, but yeah, so yeah, in that case, really, yeah. So moving on to then the last topic I want to talk about is I want to reveal this theory on this car chase and car crash and police chase that was revealed to be filmed during November, and it got to my attention at the start of the year. I finally figured out what my theory would be about that. So as I did before, I asked myself these questions here about it. So before I get to my theory, I asked myself these questions. Number one was who gets involved in this police chase. I came down to three candidates. Well, a fourth which came in late. The first one for me was Eden. Who gets in a police chase? And gets in the police chase. Involved in the police chase. I originally thought so, but I asked myself another question. I said, would the police make the same mistake the second time around, and that is let someone like Eden escape their grasp? I don't think so. So that's why I went, he's out. The second option, which is sort of out of left field, but involved her, that being Chelsea. Maybe there's a situation where she realizes that Therese and Paul are getting really close, and maybe or at this point maybe they do sort of get back together in a way. Chelsea maybe, because she's all hung up on Paul, maybe takes, maybe she's so obsessed with Paul that maybe she takes Therese hostage or takes Paul hostage in his own penthouse. I don't know. And then basically when things go wrong, she escapes and basically gets in the car and drives off, and that's how she gets into the police chase. I don't know. But yeah. But to me, I might be wrong. She's capable of it, but I don't think she'll be capable of basically getting into a police chase, pretty much. So yeah. My third option would be Slade and his gang, but I ruled him out, and that was a late entrant into this discussion, in this brainstorming, and I immediately ruled him out because I think that he'll get into a lot of trouble through his kidnapping of Hugo. So, but there might be the chance maybe that he gets off scot-free for kidnapping Hugo, which would frustrate the Rebeccas, obviously. And then Originally, I was still going to go with Eden, but then this entrant blew that out of the water. Blew it out of the water, and that is Felix. I think that it will be Felix and I think that it makes perfect sense. Maybe he does something wrong, or maybe he basically delivers on his word, which was revealed that for this week, that he has plans to skip town, which is against his parole. So yeah. So maybe that's the potential for that to happen. So yeah, potential. So there's the potential for that to happen, pretty much. So I think that the guy that gets involved in this car chase, but it might be some random person that gets involved in this car chase. I don't know, but I think my guess is probably Felix gets involved in this police chase. No doubt about that. The second question I ask myself is there more cast members involved in this scene? Now, the only two that was seen to be doing this particular scene was Alan Fletcher and Georgie Stone, who play as Carl and Mackenzie. Those are the only ones that were seen. So simple answer to that is definitely. Who? Part two of this question. Who? Since it's a police chase, I won't be surprised if Will Lloyd, who plays as Andrew Rodwell, won't be surprised if he basically gets involved in it. So yeah. Or there might be more, cast members that might get involved. I don't know, but I get a suspicion that, well, not so much because it was lots more secrecy about this. It was just that where it was filmed, this particular video clip of the actual Neighbours filming scene that they were filming here in this part of the city. Those two, Alan Fletcher and Georgie Stone, were the only ones that were seen there, being there. And then the others, we don't know. We still don't know about that. But yeah. And then the big question number 3. Does someone die in these scenes? Not as in real life, but as a character. Does a character die from these scenes? There's a possibility because there was also a message that went out, and part of that message said that these scenes may be distressing. So in that case, someone maybe dies in this, maybe, I don't know, but yeah, and then the final then the last question I'll ask myself, and the last question is, before I get to my theory of what I think that what events will take place, it is when do these scenes will get aired? So if you guys, I've said so many times, I'll say it again. Remember, there's a 5-month gap between episodes being filmed and going to air on television or on streaming services like Amazon. So yeah, and these scenes were filmed on November 16. So my prediction with this is these scenes could probably air in the middle of April. I think it'll be either April 16, which will be exactly 5 months, the 17th, which will be 5 months and a day, or it could be the 18th, 18th because the 18th falls on a Thursday. And if it's true that this scenes might maybe be, you know, cliffhanger material, maybe they put it on a Thursday, possibly. But yeah. But to the one you've all been waiting for, this is my theory into what happens, what I think will happen during this particular scene, here. So yeah. So as I said, remember, guys, this is only my theory. It more than likely it might be wrong, but in a case that it is right, I'll give you a freaking genius if it is. So yeah, so the first one is so we follow. So Felix, of course, does something wrong. Maybe he robs something, robs a place, or maybe he's maybe he's done something wrong, like a week or so earlier, and then basically he's had enough of his guilt and basically steals the car and drives off, which not surprisingly catches the eye of the cops, and basically that's when a police chase ensues. Then Andrew joins the chase, of course, not knowing that his brother is actually in the car. So yeah, and then basically goes on for miles. Meanwhile, kilometers away from all this happening, Mackenzie's driving somewhere, either for work reasons or maybe to a date with Haz in the city, maybe. And at the same time, on the other side of this particular city street, Carl was on probably his way to work, on his way to working a shift at Erinsborough Hospital. So obviously with Carl, obviously going to the hospital for a shift probably is the obvious one. Maybe I'm if I had to choose between you know, work for Mackenzie driving work reasons or a date with Haz, most likely I would say date with Haz, most likely, probably. Then meanwhile, back to the chase. Felix at this point is getting faster and faster, trying to escape the cops. At this point, Andrew still doesn't know that that Felix is in the car, is driving the car. And then he approaches an intersection. He approaches, across, intersection. Across intersection here. So he's driving here, and he's driving really fast. And then he realizes that he's arriving at the intersection way too fast. And then soon tries to slow down. Fast. He tries to stop, and then wham! He T-bones a car in the intersection. Carl stops. Carl obviously witnesses the incident happen. He gets out of his car and just basically tries to lend assistance on the scene, obviously because he's a doctor, obviously. And then of course Andrew's shocked, obviously, to see that Felix is the one that was in the car in the first place, and he's very badly injured. And then Carl goes to the other car involved to see if that person's okay. Goes to the driver door and realizes it's Mackenzie that's in the accident as well, and she also is badly injured. And boom, that is when the cliffhanger unfolds. And yeah. But at this point, I can't. I know. I think there's more of a chance that someone will die, but I can't speculate who dies. To be honest, because I don't think it'll be a good idea, because more than likely I'll be wrong. More than likely, or maybe it doesn't. It just doesn't end up being an accident at all. It maybe evolving these two. Maybe it evolves random characters, probably. Probably, I don't know. But yeah, but as I said, this is my theory on the matter, and I think if you know, and I might come out with more theories about what possibly could happen in this maybe next month. But well, maybe by this point, maybe by the time next month it maybe is revealed about what happens in these scenes. We don't know really, but yeah, but it might just be something totally different that I just predicted and now just theorized. I don't know, but yeah, so that's pretty much the end of this first part of this episode. The second part will be about home, all squarely about home and away. So like this video, share this to anybody who is also a Neighbours fan. Comment down below, like what were your thoughts if you're a Neighbours fan. What were your thoughts on last week's episodes, and what are your thoughts are going to be? Are you excited about this week's episodes? And one last thing, somewhere down there, click on the big red button which is labeled subscribe. But until next time, guys, I'll see you all later.